I am Oluwatobi Aiyelokun, and I'm the lead for Geospatial Intelligence Unit OA Consults Limited here in Lagos, Nigeria. And I'll be speaking on harnessing geospatial intelligence plus geospatial plus artificial intelligence with Python. That's GeoAI. Basically, GeoAI means integrating GIS technologies and AI. So GIS technologies means data that leverage on location. This means that your data is tied to a location on Earth. Unlike your normal database, maybe you have a customer database, in GIS or geospatial intelligence, we are talking about your database now tied to a location on Earth. And other examples are probably the ocean depth, potholes, home addresses, swimming pools, and others. We've all heard about AIs already for the past few hours and yesterday, and I won't talk much about AI, but generally we know that AI has to do with building computers or algorithms that things like human, and then trying to solve problems. Basically, GeoInt means trying to derive insight from spatial data, and we mean data that is tied to a location on Earth. So, and this data has two categories of models. We have what we call the vector data, and we have what we call the raster data. Vector data has to do with geometric shapes. These are lines, polygons, and points. For instance, you can represent your river with a line, and then you can represent maybe a pole or maybe a home or something, or with a point, or maybe you can represent like a state with a point on Earth. And then polygons, you can represent your boundaries, maybe building footprints. You can use polygons for that. And then the other model is the raster data, which has to do with pixels and grids. And an example of this is of satellite data, or your maps, your Google Earth engine, your Google Maps. The tiles are represented with pixels. When you zoom in, later on you begin to see the boxes in form of pixel. Now these are the basic technologies around GeoInt. We have the GIS that basically has to do with the analysis, the storage, the data presentation, the mapping, and deriving information from maps. That's the first part there. That's GIS / spatial analytics, and you can leverage this using desktop or your web or cloud or mobile. We have the GNSS positioning. This has to do with navigation, indoor positioning, and surveying. And then we have the Earth observation, which we all know, satellite remote sensing, area mapping, and we are used to drones. We have seen drones in one way or the other. So this captures information from the Earth surface, and they also have scanning. Basically, these are all technologies that are being used in the subset of the GeoInt, that's geospatial intelligence, which means deriving intelligence or information from data that are tied to a location on Earth. AI at a glance, the whole big body there, we have the AI, which is the machine thinking like a man, and then the subset, we have the machine learning, and then a deeper learning in a even more deeper scale. And in machine learning, we have to do with bringing data, trying to train data using algorithms, and then you're extracting features from data, you're doing your cleaning and all that, processing and all that, in order to develop models that could identify or that could map a particular phenomenon to some other input. And then the deeper learning part now goes beyond the level of you extracting feature by yourself. You give the computer or the model or the algorithm everything. It does the feature extraction by itself. Then later on it classifies the features by itself. So there is a continuous learning and unlearning till the model gets to a perfect place of generating inference about the information. For instance, the model can tell us if this is a car or not a car. And examples that we have seen around are autonomous cars, sentiment analysis, chatbots, advanced video analytics. For instance, you have a video, you have a survey, maybe a survey drone or something that captures a video and then counts the vehicles that are passing by. We have the robots, we have the crime prediction, we have the stock market prediction. We also have facial recognition, we have sign language recognition. And then in GIS, we leverage a lot on satellite imagery intelligence. So we can say you have the satellite image where you put into a model that can identify for you maybe buildings, maybe maybe a crowded area, maybe number of swimming pools. So all that could be done using AI. The idea of GeoInt is trying to generate information from GIS data or maybe spatial-based data, leveraging on the power of AI. These are other areas where we apply GeoAI. Machine learning in the middle, you can see that we have 3 major subsets. We have the unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and then we have the reinforcement learning. Basically, in the unsupervised learning, you don't give the model the output or the end points. Let's also map. The model does it by itself. It clusters the data by itself and try to see some intending similarities. And then it tries to group them based on these features. And the other end now, the classified learning, you give the model a label. I want you to label this to this, and then the model learns that by itself, and then by itself it tries to generate inference. So we have 2 classes of that. You have the classification where you have the 1 and your zeros, or maybe you have labels in form of strings, and then you have the regression where you have quantifiable numbers, maybe like you have numbers that you have values that this phenomenon are being mapped to. Example in GeoAI is the real-time crop yield, population estimation, crop forecast, and then we also have the reinforcement learning. Here, the model keeps learning by itself based on feedback, based on rewards and failures. For instance, vehicle routing, you predict maybe a waste collection plan for a company, and then you can always reinvent your route based on maybe traffic, maybe based on bad roads and all that. The model keep learning based on feedbacks and rewards. General workflow for GeoAI. The first part is data preparation. Because you can't train models without data. Data has to be available. You have to generate as much data as possible. So the first thing is data collection, the storage, and normal machine learning, the normal data science thing that we do, data cleaning, conversion, and all that. Then, of course, you have to sample, test, and the train sample depending on what you want to use. Some do 80-20. You can do 75-25 depending on your specifics. And then we have the model construction, where you have to train the model. You evaluate the model based on some criteria, maybe your root mean square error, your MEA, and all that, regression, your regression coefficient, your correlation, and many other evaluation criteria that we have out there. And then after that, you select the model, which model has the lowest error when it comes to mapping the phenomenon. You're trying to map an input to an output. Which model maps this very well with a lesser error? You select that, and then of course, what follows is model usage, that's deployment, and then prediction. So why are we harnessing GeoAI with Python? We can see from this code, Python is a scripting language incorporated into many GIS software's application. So, and this are found in the main tools we have out there, which is the ArcGIS, the ArcGIS, and the QGIS. These softwares have embedded Python as their core programming language. So, and that's the reason why we are harnessing Python today for GIS tasks, even to as small as to even to the minest projects out there. So Python is the basic programming language for GIS, and that is why we are using Python today for GeoAI. Now, we can see from different presenters in the past, they've all spoken about how Python has been a very good language to learn. It has so many adaptations, very easy to adapt. There are so many frameworks out there, so many libraries out there. It's open source, it's free. You know, people are constantly developing Python every day. Now we have high in Python users, and then we have people in academics who recommend Python and all that. There are so many wonderful, interesting stuff about Python out there that makes Python the best for GeoAI. Python libraries and frameworks for geospatial intelligence. We have the ArcPy. If you are used to Esri ArcGIS, you would have come across ArcPy. And then we have the PyQGIS for the open source. And then we have the GeoPandas, the geographic part of the pandas. Pandas is a framework, is a library that is used for data science. So just add the geo, which is geographic, that is data embedded to a location on Earth. And then we have the GEDA and the OGR, which translates GIS formats and extensions for different softwares. Right now, we have about 97 vectors. The GEDA supports about 97 vectors and 162 raster drivers out there. Then we have the rasterio, we have the GeoPy, we have the PyGeo processing, and then I added GeoDjango because we have heard about Django. There's also the GIS part of Django, which is the GeoDjango. It helps very well, very effectively to build GIS web applications, so easy, straightforward. Once you know how to use it, you can build any locational based applications. Top deep learning libraries for GeoAI. We have the TensorFlow, we have the Keras, we have the Tenio, we have the DL, J4, and the Torch. For GeoAI, for GeoAI, there is so much you can do. It depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from the angle of the Esri proprietary software, Esri has a software now, the Arc Pro, which has embedded some of these libraries. They have Python APIs that helps you to do some of this stuff. And if you're coming from the open source with QGIS, you can easily integrate your QGIS with your Jupyter Notebook, with your Anaconda, and then you can leverage on all these libraries to work upon. The question is, how do you integrate the two of them? So you find a way of bringing in your GIS into the Anaconda or maybe the Jupyter Notebook environment, and you can do that by many ways. You can generate features from data. You can use your GeoPandas to have like a data frame, which can now come into your Anaconda and the Conda environment. TensorFlow is very powerful. We all know. It's freely available. Integrates well with Python. It supports ENN very efficiently. Very easy to deploy and to upgrade. Some examples of Esri technical workshop, you can find them out there online. There are so many examples of GeoAI, so many interesting stuff that has been done, and I listed just 2 here and some others because of the time. For easy understanding, you can leverage on object detection and prediction. Now, we mean by to detect objects actually means when you have video that is tied to a location, you can easily probably count number of vehicles and you can actually conclude that a particular location has more inflow than other location. This can help in policy making, decision making, and all that. You can count number of buildings. In those days, we count buildings for planning. By going out there physically, you have to count buildings and then probably measure their distance to the road and order to plan for right of ways and all that. But now you can deploy a drone, the drone fly over an area, then you generate the drone image. You can easily use AI to count number of buildings, even buildings that are actually in a location where they should be. For instance, a building that is within a flood zone, you can easily identify them by not going to the field physically. So you can also use AI to detect road segmentation, to detect swimming pools, to detect road rings, to detect damaged roads. There's so much that you could do with GeoAI. You can also predict flood events, diseases, water pipe breakage and congestion. At OE, we are thinking presently of how to develop apps that could help us predict possible pipe burst. And we plan to integrate remote sensing data and AIs to integrate these two technologies in order to help us predict that, okay, possibly we can have pipe breakage that could lead to disastrous conditions in the future. There are many other instances of GeoAI based on Esri's workshop and their past work. Another instance is instance segmentation, which is bringing up building footprint. And that one is semantic segmentation, which is road network prediction and delineation. So the topic we are considering is basically Python with SD. How can we leverage the Python for sustainable development? In those days we started with the pre-industrial age. That's times before machines were introduced to perform tasks. Later on, we moved to the industrial age, where we replaced handheld tools with power-driven machine. Now we are in the information age, where we use data. Data drives our decision. We are generating so much data. In the future, we are going to be working in a knowledge-based age. And at that point, we need to dynamically generate insight from data. We need to improve human condition, optimize operation, reduce costs, and enhance customers' experience. This can be done using GeoAI. It is a time when you don't just pick data, you pick data and location, data and a point or a where. We always attach a where to your data and what have you. This is an example of what we did last year at OEA Consult. And this is a really live example of GeoAI integrating GIS and mapping. We mapped some part of the Lagos Lagoon, the water depth. Then we had issues of boat mishatch. We have issues of accidents on the waterways. So we wanted to drive depth across the water, across the section of the Lagos Lagoon. We could use the normal way of doing that, which is to just go there, like you can see in the right hand part. You go there with your surveying instruments, you move around the water, you take depth. But this is quite expensive and it takes more time. So we innovated the use of integrating GeoAI, integrating AI with satellite images. So we got Worldview 3. Last year, we planned the route, we planned everything. Like you can see in the right hand, the map below the picture showing the team there. We planned the route of the sounding, and then we go to the office. We process the images on the left hand side now, and this involved the mosaic, the pan sharpening, the edge remover, the glitch remover, conversion to float, and some other stuff that we did there to separate water from the land. And then we generated DNs, which is image information, and then we extracted them and designed different models. We used CNN, we used XGBoost, we used Light GBM, we used so many machine learning algorithms. We trained them till we are able to achieve one that is sustainable and that has a very low error. And then we use that to predict some other part of the Lagos Lagoon. You can see the web app down there. We created that after we had done all this process in the office. So this is the reference of the materials I've used. And then thank you for listening.